could say at that age, right? But my buddies and I would go through the Gatineau Hills. We'd come down like, you know, kind of semi little stone paths with our bikes, and you hear there go a freaking tire, right? You change about, you'd patch or change your tire about 4 times a day. We'd run out of patches, and this was a common occurrence, right? And I mean, the tires are much better now, but you think of some of those guys back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, how like their whole life hung on a tire tube. Like, it's crazy. But the road bikes now are much better geometry, and nowadays a lot of stores, you walk in, you go to buy a bike, they're like, okay, yeah, we'll take your measurements, come back in a week. You know what I mean? Here, you can rent this one and see if you like it, especially the upper end stuff, you know, because I mean, some of these bikes are the price of a fancy car. You know, like, it's ridiculous, and the average price is just way too high. Like, you used to be able to get a bike like this for like 250 bucks, brand new, which I thought was ridiculous back then, you know, and that's only a decade or so ago, you know. But now it's like, I don't think there's a bike under 500 bucks. That's, you know, an adult bike under 500 bucks, you know. So, and people throw stuff like this out. Now, all joking aside, okay, like, for me, it is more of a conversation piece than anything, but it is quite comfy to ride. So, but, you know, distance, yeah, if I had to go to work on it, if this thing was, like, this was an afterthought. This was in my scrap metal pile, right? This was an afterthought to think about using this to go to work if my car didn't start or whatever in the neighboring town. It's 11 kilometers to the town, and about another 2, we'll say 13 kilometers from door to door there, and then 13 kilometers back. So you look at 26 kilometers. Okay, so if you're going to maintain an average speed of 16 kilometers an hour, you know, 14, 15 kilometers, you can be there in an hour. That's not going to beat you up too bad. 2-3 hours, that's going to beat you up. My other mountain bikes, usually it's about 45 minutes to get out there, but that's pushing. Now, that's also not cycling with work boots on, right? Stuff like that. So, once you start doing that, then it's like, you know, then you're like, you know, you're starting to hurt yourself, you know what I mean? So you need a lighter bike, is I guess the case I'm trying to make, is you always need a lighter bike. Because power to weight is, you know, and I know some people get really ridiculous. Like, do you need a bike under 20 pounds? Ideally, yes. Because you can pedal that all day, and you just get more bang for the buck per, you know, per pedal, right? Does it have to be like a 14-pound bike like when I got my Norenko? I forget which model I had. Again, that thing, I had it down to about between 14 and 17 pounds at one point. And that was just like finding parts that were, you know, that would fit, right? That were aluminum. That thing, I don't know what that thing weighs, but you know, that thing's probably going to be about 14, 15, maybe 16 pounds. That thing's going to be a rocket ship. Now, is it going to be competitive to modern bikes? No. But, you know, can you pedal, you know, a 16-pound bike all day with a backpack on and water and stuff? Absolutely. Now, this bike, I did have this bike going, and I was going to put it to the scrap heap, but there's a history on this bike. There was a guy that I went to school with, lived in my town, named Bucky. He's no longer with us. And I had the wheels on this, I think, last year, and it rode, right? And I called this Junker road bike, but Junker road bike, this thing is like a hodgepodge of all kinds of bikes. Bucky used to come up and visit me, and that's how I recognized it when I saw it in the scrap bin. Was I recognized it because he used to visit me with this thing, and it did function. It just didn't function properly with the other wheels. So I gotta find a shop that deals in used wheels and stuff like that. And it's usually the front wheel's no problem to find. It's the back wheel. So these things are 10 speeds, right? So 10-speed wheels are not easy to find. And if you do, they're the old metal ones, which if I have to use a metal wheel on that, okay, it's not going to kill me because that bike's light enough. But this thing is, you know, it's a steel frame and everything like that. It would be cool to do a 100K run on this for charity, like, you know, like a ride for cancer or something like that. Just as the, you know, just an exactly the way it is. I did get the brakes and everything working on it, but they're probably all seized up now. But yeah, so I got the 2 road bikes. Those are the ones I want to use the most. But the Botachia, that thing's going to fly. And it's in really good shape. It's just the back wheels. The wheels were gone on it when I got it. And I got those wheels off of 2 other bikes that were being thrown out. And I should have took those bikes too, because they could probably were closer to getting them working. Now, what do I do with all this, right? Well, this was given to me and that was given to me. I already explained that. Gentleman no longer with us. And that bike has bailed me out a couple of times now. But I'm thinking he's probably still a little bit too short yet. But my nephew's probably going to be on that one while I'm on this one. But I got to get a new back tire tube for this one. I do have an cracked aluminium front wheel on this one. Again, I got to see if these are the same size or whatever. But I got to get stuff going. This bike works really, really well. Yeah, like everything works well on it. It owes me nothing. I used to take it to work and back when I lived in the city. Paid $100 for the bike and $50 for the seat. But I might take this seat off and for now and put it on the Super Bertha, because it's just a better seat, you know, big spunk seat. Because I wanted to be comfortable going to work. But for some reason, the geometry on this one, even though these are the same bike, it seems like this one I'm more on my shoulders. This seat, I don't know how I feel about this seat. This seat's kind of weird. It works, but it works weird. And you can move it a little more forward. Maybe that's what I need to do, is get it just a little bit more forward to get it more upright. See, this one I think is all the way forward. So I think I need to move it back a bit just to get a little more stretch on my leg. And yeah, that should probably fix the problem. So that one's very close though. If not, come up about an extra, about a half an inch, something like that. That'd be just peachy. But for now, that's the bike for leisure. It's just, it weighs a lot. Now I can take stuff off of it, like the back rack and all that, but then, you know, you lose all the charm, right? So you're not really going to ever make this thing a lightweight bike. So, you know, but it could be a fun project bike in the future. See if I can find like aluminum bars and riser and stuff like that, and, you know, do stuff like that if I get it cheap enough, you know what I mean? And play around with, put a lightweight crank in it or something like that. It would be funny. It would be funny. But yeah, there we go. That's my daily adventure. Let's have one last look at the Botachia. That bike, I've been wanting that bike. I've had that bike now for 3 or 4 years. I've probably had this for 5 or 6, and I just haven't gotten the right pieces for it yet. And it's just getting around to it, right? But that one, that one I would actually just show up and do a 100K run, 200K run. I'd do it on that one, no problem. Even at my age, I could probably do it, no problem. But anyway, yeah, just thought I'd show you guys that. There we go.